Welcome back to the Zay's World channel. It's Zay and Chris here, and it is time. There is going to be excitement in my voice and in our voices here with this, because it is finally time to talk about Severance season 2. We actually did not get to give like a review of the first season because we didn't even like have the channel up by the time we were done with the first season. So very excited to talk about Severance season 2. We're just going to really be talking about season 2, our thoughts on it, you know, everything that it is, but you can already kind of tell by the excitement in my voice how things are going to go for this review and what our thoughts are on the actual show itself. Of course, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Zay's World channel. If you agree with our takes, if you don't, let us know, so that way we know what to talk about later on. But let's go ahead and get into Severance, specifically season 2. Of course, we left off with 3 years.
She's alive.
She's alive. One of the wildest finales you could ever ask for in a season of television, of Mark S, realizing that, his wife's alive, that his actual wife, Gemma, is alive on the 7th floor. And we pick up right where we left off with this season. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it hits the ground running from beat to beat, from episode to episode. It hits the ground running and everything. Of course, we see the immediate aftermath of the innies, essentially having their own little takeover, Helly, disrupting the whole banquet of Lumen. And then Dylan, shout out Dylan, man. He is really good at distracting Milkshake. We'll get to that later. But, Dylan, being able to flip the switch for them, for their innies to be able to be on the outside, the overtime contingency. And then for Irving to just be banging on the door, screaming for Bert. I love how I love how we pick up right where we left off. Everybody really comes back to it. And Milkshake, essentially we pick up from there, and Milkshake just ends up. Lumen's. I love how Lumen is a great representation of just any business and doing damage control, just doing absolute damage control. The innies, of course, when they come back, they are asking all these different questions, but it's really just, remember, it's just Mark. Mark really comes back in, and he's wondering where his team is, and Milkshake is essentially telling him, like, it's been a few months since this has happened, lying to him, blacking out some things in the actual, in the actual newspaper that he gives them, telling them that they're kind of like, you've been praised, and like you're kind of like heroes, and we respect you for that and whatnot. And they kind of trying to fake him out, giving him this fake team in the beginning, Mark, because Mark still got to work, got to get to Cold Harbor. We'll get to that in a moment. Cold Harbor's important. It's the most important thing in the whole show. So they'll do anything to get that man to keep working. But Mark flips it on him. He's like, I'm not working without my team. And I really do like how the first season felt like we were the audience watching this. This season, I don't know about you, it really felt like we were on the floor with them, like going through it way more. So like we wanted to see the whole team together, because we really get to build with these characters and see how everything is. So of course we kind of get to see that, and then we get a chance to really say goodbye to Cobell for a second, or Mrs. Selvig. We get to kind of push her to the side a bit, and we get a little bit more of Helena Egan introduced in this as well, how she really is running things of Lumen for her dad in the actual show itself. So I really do like how we're introduced to all of these certain things. But really the season really hits itself hard. But I think one of the bigger episodes was when they were on their retreat, and they actually got to, like, all of them got to go on their retreat, because there's just something, I don't know, from the beginning of this season, something felt a little bit off about Helly's character, but you couldn't put your finger on it. You couldn't really see what it was. But it wasn't until we got to the Woes Hollow, when they actually were taking out, when Milkshake took them out on a retreat, and they're outside, they're outside of where they normally are.
To piggyback off that, Irving definitely knew, though. He was just like,
knows, man.
like, he knows, like, Helly isn't, like, cruel. Like, she isn't, she's definitely more like outspoken. She's more funny. She's like definitely like a completely different side of Helena. So it's just like he goes, and plus remember that was when they were like, what happened? What did everyone see on the outside? And everyone was being truthful. I think Mark was a little confused. I think he told them though.
Yeah, he told them.
Oh, he was like the author of the book. Like that's actually my brother-in-law. Dylan was saying, like I got well, Dylan obviously didn't get to see anyone because he was the one holding it down.
Yeah.
And then Irving, he was sad because obviously he's just like, oh, I'm alone on the outside. Like I don't have anything. But Helena was lying, saying she was like, oh, it was dark outside. Someone was watering her grass.
Garden.
Yeah. And Irving knew.
Gardeners.
He goes, that's some bullshit. And then plus Helly doesn't really lie like that to them because like they are really a team. So he was already kind of like, I don't even think other. He was just like, no, like I don't really fuck with that. Like I don't believe you. And I was just like, because really I didn't even think about it. You actually did call it right away. You're like, I don't think that's her. And I didn't even think about
because of how she came out the elevator.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that every other time she came out the elevator as Helly, she's hugging Mark. But when she came out in the beginning of this season, she was like, oh, this guy's kind of like hugging me. We'll get that a little bit later. Don't want to overstep a new character that's introduced, Miss Huang, obviously, who's a kid, which is very unsettling.
Which tied into your favorite episode. So
please. But yeah, we are seeing that a kid is actually like severed, which is very like unsettling to see. But that's kind of like the underling to Milkshake.
I don't think that they're severed.
Well, not severed. Like I said, that's still something. There's a lot that's still up for interpretation. But I don't,
I don't think she's severed.
We don't know if she's severed, if she's being trained at the school.
Just like how Cobell. I think she's just another form of Cobell.
But it is weird to see a kid on the floor with all these adults because, of course, the innies are wondering that. Are you severed? Why would they do this to a kid? It's a lot of questions that are left up for interpretation. But Huang is essentially still a kid, still plays with the little swimming Kier Egan toy. We'll get to Kier Egan later. But obviously, when it comes to Huang's character, it's like an introduction for the audience to kind of see how would a kid given this like responsibility but still being told by her superior Milkshake, like you're still a kid, you have to follow what I say, but they have their own back and forth as well. But when they do go to Wolves Hollow, they are out, and this is a big turning point in the actual series. I'm glad they did this 4 episodes in and really told you guys, had the big reveal. Weird, like, I don't know, like 3D printed copies of them would point them where to go. Very uncanny. It's already weird of a show, but to see, like, you want to focus on their faces, but you can't, but it looks like them, but it's really not them, and they don't talk, but they're pointing to where they need to go. It's very weird. Milkshake had one of the funniest parts in the whole series where he's like, this is the largest waterfall in the world. And of course, they don't know
because
that.
They're all like pretty much kids when it comes to the world.
Exactly. So it's like they'll believe anything. But of course, I just think it's so funny that Dylan was kind of not really believing Irving that much, and Irving was having his own like nightmares and whatnot that were getting to him. But he eventually, after what is considered one of the wildest parts in the show, because they do end up camping out they end up camping out outside. Let's just rip the band-aid off. Mark ends up sleeping with Helena, and he thinks it's Helly, and for us the viewer, we still didn't know it was Helena. So we're thinking, okay, they finally are getting together, like they're actually getting to to get close, and they really do care for each other. But in that brief moment, Helena's face changes over to Gemma because we find out that Mark the Audi is getting integrated, reintegrated. And so we find out that he's going through that process that Petey was going through, and he's having flashes of him seeing what's going on in his world and vice versa, but never truly crossing over fully. So,
another thing that had occurred too was whenever Helena, what they were indeed trying to find Gemma, Miss Casey, because for whatever reason, because obviously now that we see the Indy and the Audi, Helena was trying to seem as though she was on Mark's side, obviously to trick him, make him feel like it was Helly, but ultimately it was just like Mark. It was like I said, that was a little confusing because it was kind of like Mark. You're looking for your wife on the inside. That's when you meet the goat people. Those are new people that were introduced to.
Hey, shout out goat people. All right.
But then it's like, wait, but that's kind of messed up.
It is messed. Helena's messed up, but also she's an Egan, y'all. She's an Egan.
No, but I mean for Mark, because it's like Mark. Remember, Mark was in there and he was like, I need to find Miss Casey, because that's. Oh, but I think because he told. Oh yeah, of course, because Devin, his sister, was telling him like, that you were saying that she's alive, but like of course, whenever he had turned, like the contingency stopped, and then he was just like. Obviously himself, so
exactly, because he immediately ran to the wellness room to try to find Casey, to try to find Miss Casey, and then the doors are removed, and we find out where Miss Casey really is a little bit later on. But like we said, after Helly R, who is we think is Helly R, is revealed to be Helena because she almost got drowned by Irving.
Do it.
By Irving. And I like that because we also got Milkshak's name of Seth revealed by that point, because Helena ends up yelling like, "Do it, Seth," like change, like
she
change
said, "Damn
me.
it, do it. Like I'm about to die."
Exactly, because we can't lose an Egan now, because we need those Egans to get this ball rolling. But yeah, after that ends up happening, all hell breaks loose, and I really do like how after that point in the film, Milkshake ends up using against Dylan. In this case, there's a lot in this show, so we're just gonna take it piece by piece. By this point, he is breaking through to Dylan because Dylan really wants to see his family, and I'll
be alone.
And go ahead, and actually, I'll let Chris kind of take over with what's happening with like Dylan's storyline. How does that get started, and what does Milkshake do to get Dylan's trust, and kind of what happens with Dylan's
so Dylan, he was basically being told on his innie part, like obviously Seth was telling him even at the end of the first season, you have 3 of them, like you don't just have 2 kids, you have 3 of them, and like he was like, I can tell you their names, he's trying to bond with him on the terms of the outside, but it does go in to show what Miss Wong was talking about. You can't honestly treat them like humans, because now what ends up happening over this development with Dylan, he creates this room where like he can have like 15 minutes with his basically with his outies pretty much personal life. And so that he can have a life outside of these gray walls and you guys doing the MDR. So it's just like, okay, we'll go ahead and do that. But he ends up, obviously, just like with anyone, he ends up falling in love with the wife, Gretchen. He ends up falling in love with her. And then even later on, which won't really affect anything, but he does end up like kind of proposing to her with something that he had made.
Very sweet.
It was very sweet, but she had said like, no, I can't do that. But it did cause a little bit of issues with Dylan's outie as opposed to his wife, because his wife would come back and like tell him, how is my innie, because he was all for it at first, because he was like, oh, you can tell me like how things are going, but he has that inner turmoil of like, wow, like I kind of am a failure out here, but I'm good in there. And then like my wife does like spending time with him because it reminds him of his older self. The man can't
get a job. Even when he was fired, he tried to get a job working for a door factory, and he just getting severed. I'm like, bro, you're talking too much. But I really do like Dylan's story is probably one of the best parts of the show. There's a great parts of the show, but Dylan, I did not expect him to go that far. Seeing him sitting on the couch and taking care of the kids and kind of barely getting by and not being as ambitious to want something for himself. It makes you understand where Gretchen's coming from, why she likes the innie, because the innie reminds Dylan of who he used to be. And I think that's the real allegory of how they all are. The innies are just representations of how you are before you go through these tragedies and these things that can mess with your psyche and bring you down negatively. At the end of the day, they're just like the nicest versions of you that just want the best for themselves.
They're the most naive versions.
They're the most naive versions of themselves. But I really did like that. Yeah, he does propose. She says no.
And then she ends up saying like, I can't even do this. So Dylan on the inside, his innie wants to go ahead and quit, but his outie ends up saying like, I'll let you decide, which is very sweet.
First he says fuck you, and I love that. That's so funny because I'm like, they really are the same type of person.
Because he was just telling him exactly what we had just told you guys. Like he likes like how his wife feels after seeing you. Seeing like obviously you're successful in there. Out here I'm not like that.
It's like impressive almost to him. He's like, wow, like you bring something out of her that I can't. right now, and hopefully
and
she
you bring
can
something
see
outside of me that I can't right now.
Exactly, almost like that kick in the ass that he kind of needs. So like, wow, like there is something in you, or there used to be, that wants it the best, that really does care about what you have going on for yourself. So really liked how that was all going on with Dylan. Like I said, let's really take it by characters. Irving, oh Lord.
Oh yeah,
I'll let you take over
yes,
with Irving.
I love the gays.
Oh man.
So Irving and Bert, first of all, I gotta apologize to Bert's husband. So people, ladies, I know y'all are with me. I was literally like, who the hell is this man that's playing Bert's husband? This is not the man from the first one. I think it is the same one. He just lost weight. He said, I'm gonna get tiny. So I believe it is the same actor.
I mean, it was 3 years. My nigga had time.
I believe it was the same actor. I think it's John Noble. No, that's it. No, I think that is.
It is. Yeah, he lost his weight. He lost his weight.
Yeah, he lost his weight, and because I was just like, why did they bring in this random man? Like, I went straight back to the first season. I was just like, no, this is not it. And it was hard to find because I literally kept going past it. It was such a short snippet whenever they were like packing or playing around or doing something. But they do have an episode, at the beginning with Bert and Irving, because Irving, he doesn't want to be there anymore. He's like, I want to quit. I want to leave. Like, this is depressing. Because the fact that I know on the outside that I was in, like, I'm in love with a man who literally is married to someone else, it hurts too much. It's just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to go through that. And he's not even there anymore. But,
and we do get some lore about Bert himself. The reasoning why he wanted to get severed is because of, essentially, he knew it, good religious tones here. He knew that because, of course, that he likes men, he figured, and of course, because of some things he had done in his past, he was like, I wasn't the best person in my youth. He already kind of wrote himself off as getting into heaven. So he was like, okay, if this version of me can't get in, he finds solace knowing that his severed self can, only to find out, like, your severed self, it still finds love in Irving. So I really did like that. And then we also find out, like we said, that that Bert has been working there for quite some time. Yeah. And he essentially is like I don't know, he's like not like the hitman, but he's kind of like the person who makes people kind of like go away if they start to find out too much about Lumen, but he does it differently with Irving because he cares about him. Yeah. And I really do like that they unraveled that with Bert's character. I really do like that because Irving, of course, he was painting the actual the rooms where they were working on Miss Casey and Jem, and we'll get to that in a moment too. But he was figuring that out, and so they kind of had to nip that in the butt and make sure you're getting too close to the truth.
Yeah, because Irving is very smart. So hopefully, I do hope to see another, I hope Irving does come back and kind of tell us some more answers, because obviously he already figured out that Helly wasn't even Helly, it was Helena.
He's a real MVP, man. He even wrote the directions on how to get to the elevator.
Yeah, but he did end up, and he put it in a place where he knew Dylan would find it. He's very smart.
Very smart into it.
But Bert and Irving's story does come to a conclusion for now, just because Bert sent him away. He's on a train. He goes, don't tell me where you get off. This goes all the way to whatever.
I'm ready.
But it's just like, yeah.
I'm ready.
I hope y'all Bert's on this thing.
He said, I'm ready. And what did Bert say? I can.
Yeah.
That was one of the best scenes. That was really good.
This is why whenever, once again, because we know Irving is hurt. He's someone who hasn't found love on the outside. He doesn't have anyone besides his little companion, which is his dog. But it's like whenever Helena, which was playing Helly at this time, was talking to him, she goes, oh, you're just mad because on the outside you're alone. And he was just like,
that's cool.
He was just like, yeah. He was like, Helly was never cruel. Because who would really act like that? Who would be so cold and so just dismissive of it? Oh, who cares? You're just alone. You're mad that me and Mark are together. Haha. And it's like, that's not who she was on the inside, even though that might change. But But yeah, Irving and Bert, they do end up, parting ways. I didn't cry. I'm proud of myself. I didn't cry. I thought I would. I thought it was gonna make me cry, but I didn't. I didn't cry.
It was a sad scene though. It was sad.
Honestly, the only reason why I didn't cry is because I always think of Irving from when he was in Transformers. So it's like this is like definitely different. But great acting, and even Ben Stiller said that takes 2 phenomenal actors to do that. And like I said, all these people are phenomenal actors
to play 2 different characters.
And especially Miss Casey Gemma, girl, you playing like 17 different people. So.
And let's actually get to Miss Casey actually.
But shout out to Bert and Irving.
Shout out to Bert and Irving.
Hopefully
Great
your love will live on. But also it's like Bert and your husband. We don't know. And then also that the episode where they were all having dinner, like his husband was keeping it real. He was just like, this is weird. Like you guys
called him out on it.
And he said, have you guys had a sexual relationship in the workworkplace? Like
he was really third wheeling in his own house.
Yeah, because he was just like, I don't. Like, who are you? Like, you came running to our door in the middle of the night, that caused some issues. Like, I need to know who you are. But, I am happy though that they all, like, just talked it out. And, like, Irving got to at least, before he leaves, say, like, I'm ready, I'm ready for this love. But, hey, hopefully I hope Irving gets a happy ending because you are very smart.
Absolutely. But speaking of Miss Casey, let's go ahead and address it in what I would call, and what I think a lot of people would call, the Cheeky Bardo, probably the best episode of the season. That can rival the finale. One of the best episodes of television. I don't know.
Not 8? You didn't like 8?
Stop. But 7 in my. I mean, I absolutely love Cheeky Bardo. Would definitely love to watch that one again, just alone. What a great reveal of the actual love story of Mark and Gemma. But although you noticed it from the beginning, they met donating blood at a Lumen blood donation, which really tells you they really orchestrated this whole thing. They're both their own professors. They like to bond well over it. It was very well shot. It was beautiful. It felt like you were watching a mini movie of 2 people falling in love with each other, and you really wanted them to win in the end. You understand why Mark is trying so hard to get her back because of who he was when he was with her, even the ups and downs together. And of course, they get closer and closer, and they want to try to have a baby, and unfortunately she can't. And this has to be because of Lumen, because the actual doctor that was seeing them when they actually went to go to the fertility clinic, I mean, it's the same doctor that's torturing her in all these different rooms in the consciousness. So we do end up finding out that all the different, we can kind of say a little bit of the reveal here. All the numbers that Mark has been working on, I also said this
files.
too, 24 different files are different consciousnesses. Different personalities, consciousness of Gemma. She becomes these different people. One is where she's on a plane and a plane crashing. Another one is going through the dentist's office without anesthesia. Another one is having to write with your left hand all these notes for Christmas. It's a lot that she has to actually go through, but we end up finding out through this episode that it's really designed so that you don't have to go through these experiences. A different person does, but it only creates another problem of this almost slavery like you're forcing this other version of her to go
through the same traumatic thing.
Because that's all they know. That's all they know. It's one thing to see the workers have to work and be on the computer all day. That's your whole job. It's another thing that you're telling me my whole life is being on a plane that's crashing. My whole life is going through dental surgery and I don't have anesthesia. But of course, we do get introduced to the real Gemma down there. We do know, and we are told that she didn't actually die in a car accident. She willingly went to Lumen, and it was essentially like a deal, like, hey, like, we're going to bring you in, but you get trapped here, and you're going to be used. You're going to be our experiment, our lab rat. She does end up trying to break out, but man, what a finale to that episode. She ends up knocking upside her the doctor upside the head, and then she goes up the elevator, but unfortunately she's Miss Gemma when she goes up from the actual elevator. And once she gets to the door to go to the 7th floor, she's so close. Who's in the way? Fucking Milkshake. To
and
turn
Milkshake,
her
we're
around.
gonna get to you too,
yeah, we're
baby. Because Milkshake, you are.
He's up and down. I ain't gonna lie.
He's still right now. He's a raccoon with one C.
I'll say that. He's got like half the raccoon face because he does have one of the best moments in the whole show. But Gemma, what a great character arc. I love that they were able to put that all into one episode. And after that episode, we do get the reveal in Sweet Vitriol of...
No, wait, before we go there, also in...
Because I want to rush through that episode. Good.
Also, even in Chicky Bardo, we got to see, the complexity of her and Mark's relationship, how they met, they were both teachers, how they got along so well, how they did go through, a miscarriage in terms of her losing the baby, them trying different fertility treatments, the struggles of that, going through fertility treatments, how hard it is on her body, how hard it is for also your partner as well, because they're seeing you go through all this, they can't really help. It's a lot of different aspects that, like I said, it was so phenomenally shot, and it's amazing how they could get it into such a short amount of time, as opposed to it being 2 hours or 3. It's
better than movie. It was better than some movies.
It's really good writing, and it was shot so beautifully as well. And like I said, we get told a lot of information because even you noticed it, the cards that they had whenever.
They were doing the poses when they were in the when they were in D&D in the first season.
Yeah, so it's kind of I think that was Ben or the woman who wrote this episode. It was their way of showing us the different kind of like how close Lumen is to Gemma and Mark. Like it's almost, because to me it's kind of almost sort of tainting their relationship a little bit, because it's like, is this all tailored in Lumen's way? And it's like, are you guys tailoring it so that him and Gemma, or Mark and Gemma, actually end up creating something that maybe you guys couldn't have created? There's like a lot of questions that go on with Severance, because it's just like I said, there's so many things going on, and you see how deep Lumen is everywhere. Lumen's in the water, Lumen's in the food, even the food that they eat whenever they come home. Let's not forget about the little surgeon who was trying to reintegrate him. I forgot her name, but we'll find it in a second. But trying to reintegrate him, it's kind of like Azel? Ooh,
something like that, yeah.
Well, Miss Karen Aldridge, her trying to reintegrate him, I appreciate her honesty. She was like, if we're doing this, we're doing it all the way. She's trying to flood out his microchip so that he can reintegrate. That doesn't work. He ends up, like I said, pretty much in a coma, but not for long. And then that's actually, isn't that how the episode starts? Because we go into his mind, and it's also Gemma's mind as well, because they're both going through that as well, reminiscing about their past together in their life. And like I said, to me it's also like, even showing all those different sides of her, it's still like I said, that's kind of what makes us human, going through all those things. So if you separate it all, who are you really?
You're talking about it. Yeah. You're just making us more like robotic, robots, happy like robotic beings and whatnot. But we also get a genjutsu. But we also do get revealed in that episode that there is, we already kind of knew it, but obviously they're being watched by their own like people beneath them on another floor and whatnot. Yeah. I always want to know, if Mark was building the consciousness for Gemma, who the hell were Helly and Dylan, and they weren't all building Gemma. Clearly Mark was building Gemma. So I think that's another great question. Who were they building their consciousnesses of? But yeah, like I said,
maybe it's other versions of them.
It could be that they're trying to put out there into the world and put them through their own experiences, but 24 different files. And then of course they need him to finish Cold Harbor, which is very, very, it's a lot. Speaking of Cold Harbor, that's where Sweet Vitriol pretty much picks itself up from, an actual Cold Harbor. And when we get the backstory of Harmony Cobell, and to make a long story short, or to make a short episode even shorter, we find out that Harmony Cobell is actually the creator of Severance. Like, she actually, the procedure itself, those are her designs. They took her designs and Chris, go ahead and tell us what you said about this.
I said it's like, I feel like it was another allegory, if that's the right word, to how women have created such phenomenal history, but it's always being kind of undermined because she's a woman. So it's like, oh, she didn't create all this. Like, women are dumb. They should just be in the kitchen. But it's like, no, Harmony created all this, but now Kier Egan is trying to say it was all his. And like, you know, we do this all for Kier, but it's like, no, you actually got it from a little girl that you've been pretty much, what is it called? Whenever you're brainwashing, you've been brainwashing since she was little. It was getting a little weird in that episode because she was like it was very slow. Like, I will say that one was very slow. She was not talking that much.
Were you
a
not
man was huffing chloroform.
I guess you weren't stimulated enough.
All, like,
she was huffing some drugs since she was a kid.
Like, and it's kind of like, it was that, and I think it was kind of like, I don't think that was her actual brother, but it's like they kind of all were raised in the same thing. So that's kind of why I was saying earlier, I think it's kind of the same thing going on for Miss Swan. They're trying to raise people up because they probably are like, let's keep this company, you know, within itself. Like, we don't want to. I doubt they probably hire people off the road. You know,
exactly.
It's like, no, we need to keep it all kind of conclusive, and like, you know, whenever we're gone, okay, let's have these younger people that have been kind of already brainwashed from the start, you know, keep going forward. Yeah. But yeah, that episode was,
and the
like
town itself was collateral damage, and that's what really kind of broke Harmony, just seeing her town going back there, realizing that, yeah, like it was like, you just almost destroyed, like you turned them all into like these like addicts who just, like, you know, they're just all like, they're just trying to get by. But yeah, we do get that reveal of it. So now I guess we can kind of say that Harmony Cobell took a bit of a face turn, or she's better now. We understand her motives a lot more, why she's like this and how things need to be. Then we end up getting
as opposed to her walking up to Helena saying like, I want this, I want that, puffing her chest out, not doing anything.
Exactly.
But now we kind of understand, like, of course, like, you're angry about this. You do deserve more because this is all you. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for you and what you created. But it's just like, no, let's push it to the side. She didn't do any of that. Probably call her crazy. And that's why she probably needed to she had to go and find those designs before they did. Because then, of course, that's all her proof, you know, so.
Exactly. Up until this point as well, we didn't really get on it enough, but we are going to get onto it here because 9 is 9 and 10 complement each other so well. 9 was such a good build-up that left you with wanting more from 10, and 10 gave you everything you needed. Let's go ahead and address Milkshake, man. Milkshake, I mean, of course, he is the lapdog of Lumen. Clearly, they need him to, his whole job is to just make sure that Mark finishes cold hard, but he really doesn't have any real authority over the team. Yeah. The team, I mean, I love how even Mark was in the elevator with him, and he was essentially just like trying to tell him off, like, sure, I'll do whatever you say, Mr. Milkshake. And then Milkshake's just trying to like buck up with him, but at the end of the day, it's like, bro, you've already lost them when you were trying to replace his team, and you're lying to them, and then you're just trying to hide secrets from them. Like, at the end of the day, you're not really well respected. But Mr. Drummond is, of course, Miss Huang was already telling him, like, you shouldn't give them a funeral for Irving because it makes them feel more human. And then Milkshake, already up until this point, he was actually gifted paintings
of a blackface
in Q's image, which is very, very, very weird for black people in the workplace, of being like, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. This is who we want you to be. Yeah. You know, we don't want you to be yourself. This is who we want you to be. And Milkshake, of course, you know, he uses big words. He's a very well articulated individual. Not just an articulated black man. He's a well articulated person. I love hearing him talk. I mean, at the end of the day,
he was teaching me new words.
I love learning that, but Drummond doesn't like that. And we do get to the point to where Drummond, he does have his report. They do a report on him, and they say uses too many big words. And of course, Milkshake is conforming, and he starts to dumb down his speech.
Yeah, he was like, use 3 words, no 2. Okay, now one saying like, I'm sorry.
Training himself, But Drummond ends up,
dumbing him down.
Walking him down, being like, you know, just instead of saying I apologize, he's like, you know, say I'm sorry, and then he's like, I'm sorry, and then he's like, say it again, and then of course he ends up, oh god, what did he say?
It was something like flatulence. All right, it was
farting.
No, yeah, I know. Flatulence is farting. It was something poop, something fecal, probably.
Hold on.
But yeah, he ends up telling him eat shit, like eat shit, and Drummond didn't do shit. Devour fetulence.
Devour effect. I mean, and I love how when he said it, we knew what he meant.
Man, yeah, eat
and
shit.
It was so fun, and it's a good payoff of the show because it's like if you know Milkshake's character, that's his best way of saying eat shit, and I love that because he really does. He's staying true to himself, and he bucks against him, and I even like Drummond. You know, we get to see more of Drummond's character here as like that heavy bodyguard of Lumen, but he gets told off too because it is telling off you. At the end of the day, Mark's telling off his boss of Milkshake, but Milkshake's telling off his boss of Drummond, and I do like that we see that. And the buildup of it is, remember, Mark's getting a nosebleed because of his Audi going through the reintegration process, and I love it. This show has so many great scenes, but I think this gets overlooked is when after Milkshake does that and he calls Mark to try to bring him back into the office. A really great motif of taking a mental health day for yourself. Of Mark end up being on the phone with Milkshake. Or Mark on the Audi, asking for a day off, and he just tells him. But Milkshake's kind of like pressing him, we've all been there when your boss calls you and they're like, well, are you sick or what's going on? And Mark's just like, can I just have the day off? Yeah. Can I just rest? It's just work. Yeah. And I love that that's the opening of that really does break down a bit of the character of Milkshake as well. Like it is just work. Unfortunately, it's not. We need to get Cold Harbor done.
And also, Milkshake too. He was trying to relate to another lighter-skinned woman. We don't know if she's mixed or biracial. We don't know. But her name's April. I know that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, April.
Yeah, played by Sydney Cole Alexander. Yeah.
But yeah, he was trying to, tell her like, hey, have you gotten these paint? Kind of like, trying to be like how we as Black people, we communicate to each other. It's like, are you getting what I'm putting down? Like this is a little.
You see what I'm saying?
Is it strange? Do you feel like they're trying to,
I know I'm not the only nigga here that's going through this, right? Like,
yeah. So, and of course she's a complete robot. She's just like, okay, the board will see you now. Like she
does have a little moment. She does have a little moment of just looking at him like
is there, am I supposed? But she
what
probably
am I supposed
knows.
To say?
Yeah, like
she's got the board in her ear, and the board's like, "Hey, don't talk to him. He's weaker than you."
Because we're supposed to be their little lapdogs. Like we're not supposed to. We shouldn't think like that. We're just here to serve, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So, but Milkshake, toward Milkshake, you like I said, get on my nerves because you did stop Gemma, which you hoed her. I'm happy they didn't kill her right away. I'm very happy about that because I thought, oh, you killed Mark's girl. He's gonna crash out, but it's obviously there was more to it.
But you delayed it because I'm like, damn. But but obviously, Mark is brought out to the birthing,
cabins.
The birthing cabin, where essentially it is like a place, an offsite off of Lumen, where when he steps into the room, he's his innie, but when he steps outside of the room, he's his outie. Yeah. And essentially, kind of the episode 9 leaves off on a cliffhanger where we finally, I can't, like I said, whatever that last shot was of Cobell in episode 9.
So
if you know, it was insane. Like I said, Cobell, she does have some of the funnier moments when she's just looking dead into the camera. But we do. I mean, damn. Let's. This is really why I wanted to make this.
I think they have Miss Cobell not say as much because, like I said, I do think she is kind of like
huffed up on that chloroform all the time.
I kind of want to make it seem like as if she's a pioneer woman, like she has done so much for the company, but they want just like how they would want a woman to be like, don't talk as much, be quiet, do what you're supposed to do, and it's just like she's like fed up with it now. She's just like, no, like I have nothing to lose. Like,
same thing with Helena too. You can tell that Helena's father likes Helly more than Helena because Helly's more outspoken, but she does
spunky. She says what she
means. Goes against the grain, but it's also like Helena. It's like as Helena's father, James Egan, how he treats her. It kind of like molded her into Helena. Like she used to be like that, but what you've done is break her down so much that she is this like submissive woman that's like
the portion of your innie over and over and over
bingo again. Exactly. But like I said, we do open up the finale with having Mark finally talk to himself. And I'm just like I said, once again, the show gives you things we've never seen on TV before. It's amazing how Adam Scott, fantastic acting. He really is two different people. He absolutely was two different people. And I love how the episode started off with them talking to each other, how they're trying to get this plan of, Mark on his Audi telling his innie, here's what you need to do. Everybody's telling the innie what to do. And I love how the show is distracting you enough with all of this, throwing it at you so much that the innie Mark is like, well, wait a minute. Once we get Gemma out and I leave, what happens to me? Yeah. And I love how Devin's like, oh,
what happens to us?
What happens to us? At the end of the day, it's a great motif of the whole show. It's like they really want to be their own people, but we know what you're thinking about yourself because you're humans on the outside and you'll do whatever it takes to get what you want. But now during the conversation starts off funny and awkward, hey, it's kind of weird to be talking. It's like I said, it was great acting because it's good to be talking to you. And Mark's just like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, this is real. But they do break down things time and time again. But Chris, tell us what was it that changed the innie Mark's perception of this whole thing?
You couldn't even say Helly's name.
Oh my God.
You didn't even know your inner self's girl. Like, you were calling her Heleny. Come on. You should have. You to me, it's just like you could have been like, I know you have you might as well have said coworker at that point.
And do you know the callback of that? Remember when Mark on the outside was visited by Helena, and Helena was trying to make him feel to make him feel a little bit like, I'm sorry for your loss, and then he calls Gemma the wrong name, and that was enough for Mark to go, nah, fuck this. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna go against the grain. So I like that they called that back with, you still don't care. Yeah, you don't care enough, because it's like, I heard you like someone down there too, Helena.
Like I said,
I'm like, oh my God.
I said, Mark, you should have went straight down the depressive road.
He
I would have been up in there crying.
I haven't seen my wife in 2 years, and it's just a lot on me, and it's hard. I can do this.
They told me she was dead. I would have put it all on who you're working for. You should have made Lumen the bad guys regardless.
But you didn't.
And you should have went down the hill of I've been out here. The only reason why you're here is because I presumed my wife to be dead. She's actually not. And, like I said, I would have went down the complete depressive road. But it's like he had said, Mark's innie was just like, what happens to us? If you took time to actually get to know me, which once again, it's kind of also showing how being severed is so selfish to yourself. Because it's like you're putting a task that you don't want to do onto someone else, but that person is you, so you don't think that way. You're just thinking like, oh, whatever, like they'll figure it out. But even at the end of season 1, they don't even look at Audis as, they're like, oh, they're pathetic. That woman, like whenever Helly had tried to off herself, she was just like, oh my God, why did you do that? And like even her dad told her like, oh my gosh, I know what, your Audi did to you in there. And they treat them as if they're so beneath them. And it's like, it's still you. So it's like, you have, like I said, that's literally what makes us be human. Because whenever you take all those parts and do what they did with Miss Casey or Gemma, it's just like, it'll never work out, because ultimately it didn't work out.
Exactly. And like I said, it was really well put together to see them go against each other, and even for the innie to just call them out on the reintegration. Very smart writing here, because even with the reintegration, Mark's trying to find the Audi, not a cop out, but he is trying to find a way to get him to do. He'll say whatever needs to be said from the get it. He's like, oh well, reintegration, we can both live as one person, and his innie's like, well, you've lived longer than me, so
when you take over,
it would be much more of you than me. And I love that, because like I said, it was things that we would sit there and say, and the show already was saying it for us. But he ends up leaving it off with you tell him, you tell that Mark on the outside that if he ends up telling him, like, if you don't end up see, I forgot. I lost my train.
No, I think ultimately
it was like a threat he made, like he'll never see his wife again.
Yeah,
that was crazy. That was really crazy.
I was just like, oh, Mark, you failed.
I was like, you absolutely failed at that one.
There's nothing like I said, and honestly,
crash out justice.
That is very true. But you know what sucks? It's because he's done so many of these files, and it's just like you can't make up all that lost time over and over. You can't do that, because it's like it would be different if he had maybe a month or 2 months, 3 months to do this, because then it's like, let me get to know my Audi, let me try to or let me get to know my innie, let me try to bond with him. Let me try to get him back so that when we reintegrate, he feels more welcome. I can know more about Helly. I can know more about his personal life down there, even though you probably don't even think that. You're just thinking like, oh, they're just down there working. That's it. And that's why
what they think of them.
And that's why Miss Wong had said you cannot treat them like that, because it always reminds me, guys, of iRobot. Sonny, I need you to be here. But those are like robots, because if you guys have played Detroit, it's the same thing. Like, once you give them an essence of being of life.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, once you give them an essence of being a life, a creator, something to look up to, or something to look forward to.
Once you give them a slice, they want the whole. They want the whole. They want the whole. They want the whole thing. I mean, wow.
Yeah, pause.
Wow. But yeah, like I said, finale-wise, it only gets better from there, because we do end up getting a callback to the GOATs, of course, and they are, actually, Cold Harbor is finished, and we do get a very nice scene between Helly and Mark, where Mark is like, but I want to stay here with you. And then Helly's essentially telling him, like, well, I mean, you're kind of screwed either way, because, like, once you finish this, Gemma or
like,
Miss
how do you
Casey's...
know if you're even saying the truth? Like, how do I know that? And she goes, well, either way, I mean... We're fucked.
Exactly.
Like, we're fucked.
He does end up finishing Cold Harbor, and... Milkshake brings out before the marching band,
yeah.
we do get Kier Egan in this wax figurine form, and he ends up talking to them in his voice. And like I said, we wonder, is he alive? Like, is his voice a consciousness? Is his voice like data that can like be a voice? Like, it's very weird. But he ends up bringing in Milkshake, and they do the whole presentation thing, and even Kier Egan calls him out on the whole, you're verbose. Like, it's another way of him saying, like, black person, you talk so, like, dumb yourself down.
Yeah.
And then I love how Milkshake was just like...
You think you're so smart, huh?
Yeah, but Milkshake even clapped him back there, but Milkshake, it is Kier Egan, so he's still got to conform. It is Kier Egan, it's not Drummond. He's not going to tell Kier Egan to eat shit. But, yeah.
I mean, he could. It was literally a statue.
It is a statue. I mean, he wills him out of there. He does end up wheeling him out of there, and then we bring in the marching band with for merriment, and the marching band is going crazy. Great dance moves by Milkshake. Great callback to the first season
and
with the waffle party.
Away before it started.
Oh my God, running away from Dylan, because he's got to put on his uniform, get ready to go. But very funny how they do the whole celebration. But of course they know that they Mark and Helly have a task. They have to get down to Gemma during this part, and I
just want to say, guys, I had already knew whenever Irving wrote down all those instructions, Dylan found it, and Dylan told everyone where it was. Regardless, I had said no one in their right mind would ever be able to memorize that. And I was right, because guess what? Even when Helly was trying to memorize it on behalf of Mark, or behalf of kind of just all of them, literally couldn't even do it, or she was trying to, and then here comes her actual dad coming in and saying, like, oh, I see Kier in you, what we had told you guys earlier. Then what does she do? Comes over there right as he finishes it, because he knows, like, I feel these emotions, I know where it's about to go, because we did forget, Cobell did end up telling him what the numbers are. The numbers are he is building Gemma and all her different emotions and everything that you kind of go through.
Oh yeah, I said that earlier.
You had said it earlier. But even with that going on,
even with that going on, you can. The point is that Mark is the best one to know the directions, because he's been working here the longest. He knows the hallways.
No one is going, and she ended up having to give it to him.
I mean, she kind of already did give it to him twice.
Okay, well, some directions to a different entryway.
I'm just saying. They did that on the floor. That's crazy.
That was, like I said, because I was like, there's no way. And then even, like I said, even when he was running down, I was like, oh my gosh, how you can still get lost? Like, even if you, because wait, is this my fourth right, or is this my fifth right? Is this the left, or is that?
I just loved it. I just love when they run through the hallways. But let's go ahead and get to the finale of it. Of course, Helly and with the help of Dylan,
he comes back to the rescue.
Dylan to the rescue again. He does end up coming back, and they end up locking Milkshake into the bathroom with the with the
well,
snack
it was
machine.
Locked and then
then they're blocking it. Yeah, and then they have to cover the door with the snack machine. The
Milkshake is strong, and then Milkshake comes out looking like a monkey. I think that was on purpose.
Yikes! But
he did.
But while that's going on with the marching band, going through their thing, just still playing and whatnot, and Helly trying to convince them, to rise up and start a revolution because it's like they only give us half a life, and you don't think we won't fight for it. Very good, like I said, very good callback to the first season finale when she's very good at like galvanizing people together. She's a great speaker. What a scene, man. Mark having, of course, we get the goat. Drummond ends up bringing in the woman of the goats to sacrifice the goat while Gemma is in the Cold Harbor room. The Cold Harbor room is a crib. She's instructed to take apart the crib. And it is a good call, and it is a good motif of her. I think the whole reason why it's her taking apart the crib is that would be probably the hardest thing she can do because it's a constant reminder that you lost a child. Like, she wouldn't be able to do it. Like, Mark had to take apart the crib. Yeah, can't. Of course, we'll get to that in a second. But I do like how the Cold Harbor room is Gemma's worst fear. Like, just being thrown back at her. Like, hey, look at this crib of the baby you could have had, but you couldn't. Our fault, But it's just her taking it apart. And in the meantime, they're trying to sacrifice a goat. And the goat that we saw in like the third episode, the woman brings the goat in and she ends up asking Drummond,
like, how many more? How
many more do we have to do? And he's like, huh? And then, of course, Mark's just like banging on the door, and then Drummond comes out of the side door. And we just get a quick little John Wick fight sequence. I mean, they're just like fighting.
He says as many as it takes for Kier, like as many as it takes
to
complete the mission.
What you talking about? We'll never stop.
Who cares about, because just like people up top, they don't care. They just dispose of things. It's just like, oh, we don't care. It doesn't affect me. Like, we need to get this job done, and at any cost. Any
means possible. But Mark does end up fighting Drummond, and then right when Drummond's about to choke Mark out, the woman ends up coming in. The goat lady ends up coming in, and she no more killing. And then she ends up fighting the hell out of him. And then she ends up taking the goat. She says, Mark's like, thank you. And then she's like, the goat says thank you. And then Mark is now bringing Drummond down to where Gemma is. But
I just realized this is a big allusion to what Milchick was saying at the beginning. They are Helly revolutionized the marching band, and then Irving, he was figuring stuff out, but he had to go away. And then Dylan obviously is going to be of assistance because they're figuring more. They all have done like their parts of this revolution, and same with Mark now. Like, even on the outside, he was able to convince Gemma, and then now on the inside. So they kind of are like,
they foreshadowed it in the little animated claymation thing. Well, yeah, when they showed them the little when they showed them what they did, and they were trying to do like the corporate version of it, the little TV thing of them kind of doing the uprising. It was kind of foreshadowing for them really doing an even bigger version. Like, this is the real one. Like, that first one was them
and then he did it with the goat people. That's what I meant to say.
Exactly, yeah, with the goat people as well. But yeah, Mark does end up going down the elevator, unfortunately, because he has the gun up to his neck. When he changes back into Mark on the outside, the gun pushes in. So it's kind of like an impromptu killing, but hey, Drummond, you're out, you're done. It's not like Mark on the outie, he accidentally killed Drummond by pushing the gun into him when they were changing over. Drummond's dead, his fat ass body is keeping the elevator open. And Mark, very, very smart. This is the outside Mark on the inside below the severed floor for the first time ever. And he's just like picking up things as they are. The woman who's been pushing Casey to go into these, or pushing Gemma to go into these rooms time and time again. She's like, one of the funniest scenes. She's like, what the hell are you doing here? And then they just end up yelling at each other for a bit, and then she like runs off. And then obviously Mark's trying to use his hand to get into the room with his own blood. That won't work. But he uses the tie that his tie that has Drummond's blood on it. That gets him into the room. And for the first time in 2 years, Mark, his outie, gets to see his own
Not yet his wife. But he gets to see her soul, like he gets to see her vessel.
Exactly, first. And the doctor is trying to tell her, like,
he's bad. To get away from him.
This isn't a part of the test, but it's that love that they have that transcends that severance. That she's willing to trust this man, who's walking in bloody, telling her we gotta leave. She trusts him as a new conscience way more than she trusts this voice telling her what to do. And when she does get out that room, man.
Oh,
what a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. For the first time
in 2 years.
In 2 years, they actually get to see each other. And it's just the look on the smile that they give each other. It's just like, it was all, to them, it's like, oh, it's all worth it. It's all worth it just to see you again. And for him to know she's alive. And for her to know, I get to see Mark again after in the end of Cheeky Bardo, who just leaning against the elevator in tears, like, I just want to see Mark, and you do get to see him. But Chris, I'll let you take it away. What the hell happens next? Oh God.
Helly, I got a bone to pick with you,
Yikes.
Mama. But anyways,
why? Go ahead, tell them why.
Anyways, they end up, so obviously, once they go up to the Severed floor, they're back to Severed. So she's Miss Casey, and he's Mark S. Like, they're just like, whoa, oh, Miss Casey, and she goes, I forgot what she had said. She just goes,
what is this that's happening or something?
Yeah, like, and
what is taking place?
What is taking place? Yeah, because obviously she's like a therapist on that. She's the wellness person. So obviously, they end up. So, now they're back severed. And so he's like, okay, well, come on, like, follow me. Because, the innie does know, okay, well, obviously I succeeded. We got her out. So now it's time for me to let her out. And I knew immediately, right when he didn't leave that door with her, I said, oh, there we go. I already know what's going to happen. And then here comes Helly's raggedy ass coming through. Because they were trying to, the doctor and the nurse were trying to chase them, obviously, but they moved, Drummond's big ass legs out the way because they ended up going up. Obviously, that was before they had kids.
And then the doctor, before the elevators closed, he said,
die.
You'll kill them all. And I think that's a reference to all of the different versions of Gemma. You'll kill them all. Like, if you take her out of here, you'll kill all the different things that we've been working on. All 25 different versions of it, because that's all they fucking care about. But he does push her. The innie Mark pushes her through the door.
Pushes her out the door, and then she's like, and then so now, and obviously, guys, we have to remember, Gemma doesn't even know anything that has been going on with Mark. Remember, Mark severed himself so that he could actually live a life without having to remember her. So Gemma doesn't even know that Mark is severed, okay?
She doesn't know that that's Mark's innie. She just thinks that's Mark.
So exactly, and plus because she just trusts him, and then they had that moment. So now she's on the outside, so she's thinking like, that's my Mark, like that's literally my husband. And so now she has to watch. Here comes Helly, and she goes, Mark. And he's just looking back, and so of course, obviously, if you don't even know this woman that's on the outside screaming at you, saying, "Come on, Mark! Come on, Mark!" and then you got like the love that you have in your workplace, like your innie's love. It's like, oh, now he's kind of like, this is the decision that I have to make. So am I gonna leave out of here
and potentially kill myself?
Yeah, I'm gonna kill myself and have to give all my trust into my Audi to make it right, and maybe this reintegration thing works, maybe it doesn't, whatever. Or do I go back and just spend a little bit more time with the woman that I have actually fell in love with?
Because this is all I know.
Exactly.
And I do love this person, and I've built something. This person makes me feel alive. The person I'm looking on the outside doesn't. It's a strange woman outside. Exactly.
Like I don't know who that is. And then Helly's just sitting there looking stupid. And then here goes Mark leaning back to her. Helly, you are a raging cunt.
Damn.
And the reason why is because you were, now granted, Helena was the one helping assist find his wife. But still, whenever it was actually Helly, and Dylan had told, and they all were in on the loop in terms of, oh, like his wife is here and she's alive. We were all in that loop. So the fact that you literally ended up saying like, remember, and what did you tell him at that computer? I'm her. I'm the one that's on the outside for another part of you. So like I said, you were telling him all those things. That's why I was hoping it was Helen at the end, but obviously it has been proven that, it was Helly. And
yeah,
it's
but
just
Lau
like,
actually confirmed it
and
herself.
It's also like Helly, it's very selfish to even do that to him because you guys know you're hoed. Like, y'all are gonna go away probably regardless because it's like, or they're gonna give you a different type of consciousness to where you guys probably won't even remember each other. So to be so selfish, that's not a girl's girl. Because I understand you do love the man, you want him to stay there with you, but at the end of the day, I would rather you go out and be, now of course it's just me, but it's like I would rather you go out and be happy as opposed to, oh, and here we're probably gonna go away anyway. Like, we're probably kind of doomed. They're gonna shut down Lumen, you know, because regardless, Gemma can go out there and tell them, she probably won't remember stuff, but she's probably gonna be like, something's going on, you know, Devin's in on it. They don't know, Gemma doesn't know about Cobell being on it. There's a reason this all happened and you were able to leave. But like I said, I already knew once he didn't go out there. I said, oh no, he didn't go out there with her. So I already know what's gonna happen.
Heartbreaking stuff.
And I understand.
I was still 50-50 on it. What I thought is that Helly would hug him and then she would push Mark through the door and like sacrifice herself and kind of be like a callback to when she was like willing to take her own life. Like now it's like I'm willing to take it, but no, she actually was like, no, I'm gonna think about myself. And at the end of the day, this goes back to what Huang said. You can't make them feel like the real people, because this is what happens. You made them feel so alive and in love with one another
that they're revolting.
They're not only willing to revolt, they're willing to throw away everything on the outside. They're like, forget who I am on the outside. You created me, and I'm gonna make a life for myself.
And also, another reason why I'm calling her a raging cunt is because
double on the cunt.
Ultimately, you know you are an Egan. You know that. You know nothing is going to affect you. None of this is going to affect you. You're going to go out. You're going to go outside of here and continue to sever people over and over and over again. You know that. And then on top of that, it's still just like, how, like I said, how could you do that to, like, how are you telling him in one notion, oh, I'm her, and you know how it hurts him to lose. Now imagine going through that for 2 years, and you're just gonna do that. It's just like, no, Helly, you are horrible. No. I will never. Like I said, third season's probably gonna be phenomenal too. But it's just like, and it sucks because, like I said, Gemma doesn't even know that, like, oh, like, my husband's in there. She probably is thinking, like, damn, did he fall in love with, did he just fall in love with someone
I think that's what hurts the most, is she really doesn't know that that's the innie. She's literally watching her husband run away with a whole other woman.
People were saying, oh, it's like Mark S's decision. It's Mark S's decision. But regardless, like I said, Helly, you know about what's going on. That's when you have to educate him, like you had said, push him out the door, push him to do the right thing. But I also know, like, for you, it's like, is it the right thing? Because like my dad doesn't even care about me. Like, he doesn't even care about me. Who knows about this reintegration, whatever. But it's still just like, at the end of the day, you still, once again, what are you doing?
But this was all caused because Mark couldn't fully, he couldn't really fully let go of the fact that he lost his wife in Gemma, and I feel like is the big kind of like message for him, especially when they were talking to each other, because I had said that when they were talking to each other, I was like, the innie could easily say, like, you had your time with her, and unfortunately, like, she's gone, even though she's not gone. Like, I know she's not gone, but like, if you would have learned to move on from losing her, then even though she's not gone, which it's still sadistic of Lumen, because it's like, she's not dead, and maybe the whole reason you're even together and you love each other is because of Lumen. Like I said, that's what's so fucked up, is it's not like these are two random people that love each other and then Lumen gets involved later. They met at the blood, so it's almost like Lumen really did put the whole thing
over you
together. But I did love it. I love that the hallways were white and red, because of like it was really, really good. It was really great how it was shot, and the last shot is them running off into the hallways, arms together.
I hope, Helly, you break both your legs.
And I cannot wait until we pick up from that point.
Because my ultimate question, like I said, I hope Gemma, you know, I hope we get to learn more about Gemma. I hope we get to kind of see her on the outside.
Yeah, Gemma might be the main character.
We'll have to see how the innies and outies are gonna do, or if they're gonna still even be there. Are they gonna just make him a different conscious? And then after he made that 20, why did it take 25 to build what they were building with Gemma? You know, so I guess that's obviously why the doctor didn't want to take her out of it. But I still just want to know, like, because she would remember I don't even think that's true, because remember, she was going, when we were watching Chicky Bardo, she was going through all those different doors anyway, and then she was coming out home to Mark. So, but Mark was saying he completed 25 files.
No. She wasn't ever coming back home to Mark. She was coming back to her room. From the moment that the accident happened,
she was down there.
And then Mark ended up, like I said, they preyed on him, and they were like, oh, you feel really sad, and like you can sever yourself, and you can have a version of yourself that doesn't have to think about her even for a couple of hours of the day. Like I said, they preyed on him, and they used all of their emotions to get what they want, which is to build a version of yourself that doesn't have to go through all of this. But like you said, and that's a great message, that's what makes us who we are, is our experiences. We have to go through loss and grief and fear and stress and anxiety and all these different things that make us who we are. You can't just throw them on a number pad and build a person and then expect those people to just go through it and not have them eventually go, why am I doing this? Because we ourselves ask that. Whenever we work a job, we don't want to work. Why am I putting up with this? Why am I putting up with this boss? Why am I putting up with working in this environment? And then you have to deal with stuff in real life going on. You're losing people who care about you, or maybe in Dylan's case, you're not as ambitious anymore. You're losing your love connection. You know, even though they're still alive, that love that you have for that partner isn't still strong. So then you use, you know, another version of yourself to fill the gap. There's a lot that's really been put into this, but it is. I'm not gonna hesitate when I say this. This might be one of them ones. This might be one of those shows that goes down as one of the best we've seen. I've never seen some of the stuff we've seen here on. I mean, this is one of those shows.
And all the writers that
this is one of those shows where it's like we're talking about it now in real time how great it is, but it's only gonna get more and more praise later on for what it's actually doing and saying about being a human, trying to balance work and life balance, and who you are as a person on the inside. And if there was a real severance procedure, would you do it? Because I know some people would, because of how much stress.
We hate work.
Or not just work, just life. Like I said, just give me 8 hours of the day where I don't have to deal with. I don't even have to deal with anything. Another version of me does. Some people might do it.
But you know what? I know I could convince myself.
And then guess what? Your stuff gonna be hanging in the elevator.
I absolutely know I can convince myself. I would be so
you gonna be making videos every damn day.
Absolutely.
Every damn day.
I would, like I said, I would be talking to myself so much. They'd be like, yeah, she's not a good candidate. Like, we actually, no.
I think the place where the family meets is called like the I think it's called the perpetuity wing. I could be wrong, but I think it's called that, where the family meets. And so I feel like I would just be working just to have those moments and everything.
What I was gonna say was just my main question for season 3 is just how did Gemma get into the position she's in?
Yeah,
that is my main question. I want to know how she got down there from Miss Casey. Like, I kind of want to see a continuity of Miss Casey and then her going down there and then being like, okay, like, because what did they promise you or what did they detail to you? Because obviously when you go down there, she knows who Mark is.
Could be a baby.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's like. And then also, I did want to honestly see, not now, it doesn't have to be now, but I do want to see, because obviously they were going to sacrifice the goat, you know, in a sacrificial way, because those are usually sacrificed. And then they were going to sacrifice the goat. And then what was going to happen was the essence going, because obviously they're doing something to get Kira back, obviously,
or the Kira baby head in the intro,
or trying to invent a different type of Kira, because like her dad had told Helena's dad told Helly, you know, like, I see Kira in you. So it's like, are you going to jump ship now and be like, maybe we can just mold Helly into what we need her to be? You know, she can convince people, like Helena cannot. Helena's not able to, because you've killed her so many times over and over. You've beaten her down. So like I said, these people, the any people, are definitely they're naive, but they're definitely the most pure versions of yourself as an adult, because they don't know anything too. So they are, like I said, very naive. But ultimately, I do want to know. I was just like, how did Gemma get in this position? And then like, how much, like, Gemma, obviously Gemma and Mark clearly love each other. That's clearly, that I don't think anyone can deny that, but it's just like, I want to know, Lumen, did you guys set this all up? Like, when did you guys start setting this up? Did you see them on college? Did you guys just start, like, did you start it with them? Or did it all start, you know, at the blood bank? Like, is that when you're like, oh, these are good candidates, they're both healthy, we can, you know, have them procreate? Like, you know, what was actually going on? Or were they trying to build her strong enough to be able to do that?
Because clearly they caused the miscarriage. They wanted to bring that stress, and they wanted to bring that experience onto them so they could.
Or was it natural?
It could have been, like I said, there's a lot of questions in here. The show does an amazing job of answering a crap ton of questions.
Yeah. And
giving us just as many to go off of. I thought the season 1 finale was phenomenal. This one is even better. Like I said, this is one of those ones. This is like to put it into NBA terms, this is like a 2018 LeBron one. This is like Kobe in his prime. This is like Michael when he's on the three-peat. If you aren't watching this show, watch it. Let's go ahead and give our rating of it. It's a fucking S, y'all. I mean, come on.
S like for Severance.
It's at this point, it's its own
genre.
It's its own genre. It's its own rating. Like, you can't find another show like this. You can find it on Apple TV. You can also find it on some websites. But if you don't watch TV, watch it. If you work a job that you don't really like, watch it. It's not even a show that you have to be like, I don't know, really, but you do have to pay attention to it. I will say that. You do have to pay attention to this. And even if you have not watched the show and now we have spoiled everything for you, I promise you're still going to have an amazing experience watching it, knowing everything, because it's just that great of a show. Hats off to Ben Stiller, hats off to the writers of this show, and hats off to every single actor, because once again, it's one thing to have two different actors in the same room act. We've seen that in different movies. It's another thing to have the actors
play two versions of themselves
and be completely different versions of themselves as it is. In terms of season 3, I want to know if they're really going to bring Kier back. I want to know, Milkshake, pick a fucking side.
Yeah, Milkshake, grow some nuts.
And Huang, are we going to see you come back? Are we going to see a bit of the process with the school maybe?
Yeah.
Are we going to see that? And no more Harmony Cobell episodes where it's just her sucking on some sucking chloroform and on her mom's ventilator on the inside of the bed. No, but for real though, fantastic show as always. Let us know what you guys think. If you haven't finished it, or if you are going to finish it, let us know you guys' thoughts and what you want to see for the next season. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for the Zay's World channel. I'm Zay. That's Chris. And we'll see you guys next time.